It's a warm Sunday morning. Servicemen are doing their morning PT. Others are reporting to their post for the day. Some are still recovering from last night's lively activities. Oahu was one of the only places in the world where you could wake up to 73-degree weather just 2 weeks before Christmas time, and the 35,000 servicemen stationed here at Pearl Harbor knew they had one of the best posts in the country. Of course, nobody knew that today would be one of the most infamous days in American history, until it was too late.
7, 8, 9, 0.
2,403 service members would be killed that morning, and 1,178 would be sent to military hospitals all over Hawaii and the West Coast. This, of course, was 1941. In the 80 years since the attack, more than 31,000 of the surviving veterans would also pass away. In 2021, there are less than 90 people who lived through the events of Pearl Harbor and are still around to tell their stories. The events of the Second World War now sit between 75 and 80 years ago. This means the youngest veterans are in their mid-90s. With veterans approaching and surpassing a century of age, we're losing them at a rate never seen before. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs gives some statistics. 16 million Americans served in World War II. Today, only about 2% of them remain. With around 234 veterans dying every day, there are quite literally hundreds of stories being lost each week. These statistics from the VA help to conceptualize the urgency of the issue. The 2020s are projected to be the most catastrophic decade for World War II veterans yet. By the end of the decade, the number of veterans left is set to be in the 100s. Even today, some of the veterans who are still sharing their stories are over 11 decades old.
Well, this morning, people are continuing to pay their respects to Austin's Richard Overton.
The former oldest living World War II veteran died Thursday at 112 years old.
Edward Shames, a World War II veteran and the last surviving officer of the Easy Company, died in Norfolk Friday. He was 99 years old.
What's going through your mind at this time? This giant of the Senate and of politics, Bob Dole, passing away at the age of 98.
A soldier who saw battle would have to be in his late 80s, at least today. Few are still with us. And over the past few decades, we've seen authors and filmmakers rush to capture stories from survivors before this connection of memory is lost.
Good. I'm Dr. George Cressman. I'm the staff historian here at the Camp Blanding Museum. Hello, I'm Dr. George Cressman. 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 I serve as the staff historian here at the Camp Blanding Museum.
Camp Blanding Joint Training Center is today the premier training site for the Florida National Guard and is located just outside the town of Stark. During World War II, Camp Blanding was one of the largest Army training sites in the nation, training over 824,000 soldiers from 1939 to 1945. In the time since, the post has not forgotten the legacy of the men who served there 80 years ago. In fact, today, Camp Blanding is home to one of the most inspiring World War II veteran conservation efforts in the country. In 1990, the Camp Blanding Museum was established, and for the past 3 decades, they've been telling the stories of veterans from all over the country, and have since become one of the leading World War II museums in the state. Dr. George Cressman is the chief historian at the Camp Landing Museum and has been documenting veterans as a military historian for over 15 years.
So the challenge is, of course, as you mentioned earlier, we're losing these men and women. We don't have that many left. But during the time that I've been there, I've had the opportunity to work. Two of our volunteers were veterans of the war. We've had the opportunity to chat with and interview men who have served there.
The Camp Landing Museum has been recording and displaying the stories of World War II veterans almost a decade longer than even the National World War II Museum in New Orleans. In that time, they've been accumulating more stories and featuring them in exhibits for nearly 20,000 yearly visitors. In 2020, the Camp Landing Museum began its YouTube channel and has since uploaded dozens of videos seen by more than 50,000 people. Dr. Cressman has been at the forefront of this effort, dedicating himself to preserving the legacy of the greatest generation.
Today we're truly honored to have a World War II veteran who trained here at Camp Landing in 1943. So, Tech Sergeant Donald Halverson, we're pleased to have you back at Camp Landing. It probably doesn't look anything like it did in 1943.
Don't recognize nothing.
Don't recognize a thing. So they took out most of your platoon. Wow.
Yep, killed and wounded. And some guys had to help, so I only had 5 guys left out of 40 when I finally got my guys across.
Wow. Wow.
I was the last one to run across, and I thought that might be my last day, but I made it. And the captain said, "I thought you were a goner." Miss a guy, you had to replace him. And just like every day in the grocery list, you just tell the captain, "I need so many more men." And come and go quick.
My personal experience is that the veterans that we're seeing now are more willing to talk about their experiences, and it may be that sense of mortality that they've never talked about it with their families, and they want to leave some legacy of some recording of what they've done. It has nothing to do with strategy, has nothing to do with a battle of any kind, has everything to do with the humanity, the challenges of living in these very difficult conditions.
Humanity. It's one thing that all people share. Whether that be between the men at Pearl Harbor or historians working diligently at museums across the country. It's the one thing that everyone, regardless of means or background, can relate to. The stories of World War II veterans serve a crucial role in teaching us how to be better people. These stories will outlive and immortalize those who lived through them. The fight to record and share these first-hand accounts of history will continue until the day we lose our last man. Until that day comes, there is much work to do, many stories to tell, all serving the same goal: to strengthen our sense of humanity by reconnecting with our last links. I'm Pelleriti, and thanks for watching.